beautiful day. It's working. That's tremendous. That means we can go ahead and get started. So let's do it, shall we? Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live, the show that spotlights misconduct involving police, prosecutors, and politicians. My name is Robert Gouveia. I am a criminal defense attorney, and today we're talking about Judge Juan Merchan exploding at Robert Costello, Michael Cohen's ex-lawyer, in the courtroom, getting into it with everybody, including the prosecutor, Susan Hoffinger. But before we jump into today's testimony, which of course is day 20, we'll be checking in with inner city press reporting. We gotta get our bearings straight on what happened yesterday, because there was a wild scene when the cross-examination started of Robert Costello. Remember this guy. The judge got the old side-eye from Robert, the former lawyer for Michael Cohen. When the judge sustained an objection, he said, "Jeez, what's wrong with you?" And he looks at him, and boom, it set off a nuclear bomb in the courtroom. It's wild. So there's a portion of the transcript that has been released. We're going to read through it and see what is inside, because not only did Costello get castigated, but they also went after the press. They actually threw the press out of the courtroom. Alan Dershowitz, who's also on YouTube, he was in the courtroom reacting. I've never seen anything like this. The judge corralling the press, throwing them out on their butts into the hall. And I don't know if you saw a bunch of lefty journalists ranting about how this is an abridgment of freedom of the press or anything like that. I think they're just all kind of still reeling, like Jake Tapper is, from the testimony from Michael Cohen. But all that will bring us up to speed on the drama, the theatrics that happened yesterday. Before we jump into today's testimony, of course, Trump was out. He spoke this morning, and we'll listen to a bit of that before we jump into the transcripts, the excerpts from Inner City Press on trial day 20. A lot of reaction to this. The case is now done, other than closing arguments and deliberations. We're going to see that Donald Trump, his defense, did not post a massive defense. They had a couple witnesses come out. Donald Trump did not testify. And there's another missing witness that people are wondering, where's the FEC guy from the election committee? If he's going to come in and testify about the law, that would be very helpful for the Trump defense. But the judge basically limited what he could say, so he did not come and appear. But he did hop on X and he explained his position on this. He says, my testimony has been restricted, so the judge is not calling me, but I still have a lot to say. So we'll see what he says. And then, of course, we'll see what Alina Abba had to say. Then in our second segment, once we're done with the testimony, both sides rested. Of course, the government is done. Today, the defense also rested. And so we're going to see what happened after that, because we jump right into jury instructions. And this is a little bit hard to follow because they're reading documents, literally, like they both have a copy of a big stack of papers, a bunch of words on it. They have pen and paper, and they're just redlining the materials page by page. Delete this sentence, delete that sentence, add this word should not be here, move this section over here. So we're going to do our best to follow along and see what we can tease out of these instructions, but they'll be very important because they're going to answer a bunch of questions for us. Do the jurors have to agree on the object offense? Is it pick a crime, any crime, doesn't matter, where all of them can pick a different object offense that Trump intended to commit? We don't know. And what's the standard there? What are the definitions of the different rules? So we'll go into it, we'll see what we can parse through, and then we'll get some reaction. I got a couple of the lefties that we'll listen to. I know it's painful, but we'll see what Maddow had to say. She is, okay, we'll see how she's doing. Good. And then we'll see what Bill Maher had to say. They brought him on some news site, and he's complaining about, we almost had it. If we would have just indicted him sooner, maybe we could have gotten a conviction. So we'll get them out of the way, then we'll cleanse the palate with some more sane people. We'll see what Matthew Whitaker, former acting AG, has to say. This woman came out, was screaming about Marxism in our courts. It's outstanding, and she's screaming in Espanol, so we'll listen to that one. And then we've got Byron Donalds, who says this whole thing is a terrible misuse of justice. So we've got a lot to get to today, as you can see, my friends. Very grateful and excited that you are here and with us. I know there's a ton of Florida news also that just dropped today. Apparently they went to go try to assassinate Trump. They're in there with instructions to shoot on site or something. So we'll go through all that tomorrow. I know that Julie Kelly's doing some great work on that, and those filings are just coming out of the oven. So we'll make sure we come back on that tomorrow. Make sure you're subscribed, my friends. This morning, we had a very, very nice guest appearance. As I said yesterday, your boy got invited to Davos in the desert. Had a great talk today about the Bragg prosecution. I consolidated like 60 slides in 45 minutes, and I was just racing. If you were on that scene with us, joining us over there, davosinthedesert.us, I was like scrambling. Next slide, next slide, next slide, next slide. I'm used to having a time limit. So it was a lot of fun. Great presenters there. Robert Barnes was over there. John Eastman was over there. Some awesome people. So if you missed that, go check it out, davosinthedesert.us. Get Trump is the name of the event that we spoke at. We also posted the full event over at watchingthewatchers.locals.com for our members. So if you missed it, then it's available to watch over there. And you don't have to be a member. You can just go over there and watch it. You don't have to pay for it. Just you can go watch it over there. We also posted it for our YouTube members as well. So if you want to check out what we talked about, it's available for replay on Locals for free. You don't need to sign up. RobertGouveia.com is our website. PDFs. We have one PDF that we'll run through today. That will be up on the website after the show. And of course, watcherlodge.com. If you are absolutely interested in joining us in Vegas, man, it's like just over a month away, a month and 8 days away. Woo! All right, we're going to figure it out. It's going to be awesome at watcherlodge.com. Check it out. Trump Hotel, Las Vegas, June 29th, 2 days after the first debate. I can't wait to be live streaming from the Trump Hotel in Vegas during this election year. If you want to join us and you're serious about joining, come check out the details, watcherlodge.com. All right. Yeah, Merrick Garland authorizing lethal force to just go take out Trump's, wild times. So we'll get into that tomorrow, no doubt. But we're at the finish line on the Bragg prosecution. This will be the last serious day before we come back for closing arguments next week on Tuesday. And so let's get to it. Judge Juan Lacan Mercan went nuclear in court. We know that Robert Costello, Michael Cohen's ex-lawyer, was on the stand testifying, and he was dropping bomb after bomb after bomb. Michael Cohen, we know, is a convicted liar. He's somebody who has admitted to stealing from the Trump organization, doesn't know what the heck's going on in his various phone calls, thinks he's talking about Stormy Daniels. Turns out it's like a 14-year-old prank caller. Very confused gentleman. He thinks he's going to be the attorney general. He thinks he might be the chief of staff. He's kind of whacked out of his mind. But what happened is he waived attorney-client privilege, and Robert Costello came out and was able to explain what a liar this guy is because he's got the emails, he's got the documents. So Robert Costello was on the stand, and we remember that we wrapped up the day with a direct examination from the Trump defense, and we started into the cross-examination. And things got wild. Now, we were just reading from the excerpts, but when we zoom in on this, we're going to see that things got spicy pretty quickly. So remember, this is on the direct exam of Robert Costello. Cross-examination starts today. We're going to get to cross-examination in a minute, but this is from yesterday. Here is how this exchange went. Robert Costello is on the stand. Defense attorney Emil Bove is asking questions. Costello says, yeah, I see that. He says, what did you mean by that? Objection from the government, sustained from the court. And this is the moment where Costello turns to the judge, looks at him and says, jeez. Question, was that in response to something Michael Cohen had instructed you to do? Objection, sustained. Costello says, yes, strike it. Judge flips. Counsel, let's take a minute. Can the jury please step out? Clerk of the court says, all rise. Jury gets up and exits. Judge says, Mr. Costello, you remain seated, please. Costello standing up. Remain seated. You may be seated. He looks to everybody else. Now, Mr. Costello, I would like to discuss proper decorum in my courtroom. Costello says, but I'm sorry, go ahead. I want to discuss proper decorum in my courtroom. Right? Okay, so when there is a witness on the stand, if you don't like my ruling, you don't say, geez, okay? And then you don't say, quote, strike it, because I'm the only one that can strike testimony in the courtroom. Do you understand that? I understand. Okay. And then if you don't like my ruling, you don't give me side eye and you don't roll your eyes. Do you understand that? Do you understand that? I understand that. I understand what you're saying. Okay. Thank you. Let's get the jury back. Are you staring me down right now? Judge has lost it. Costello's giving him the death stare. Huh? And the judge is furious. Are you staring me down right now? No. I'm just wondering how. Clear the courtroom, please! Clear the courtroom! Costello says, you want me to answer your question? Sergeant in the courtroom is now saying, sir, please, court officer, and shout out to this court reporter, okay, who's capturing all this in real time for us. This court reporter's like, it's going down. Multiple parties are talking, check it. Says, sir, please, court officer, step outside, please, step outside, and step to the side, please. They're moving people out, shuffling people out. Step out, please. Quiet, please. Step out, please. Get out, please. Probably a lot more shouting than that. This court reporter is just grabbing what she can. So a person in the audience, somebody else out there in the courtroom screams, Your Honor, may I object on behalf of the press? Your Honor, our lawyer is objecting. The press lawyer is objecting. We're from the press. We have a right to remain here. Court officer screaming at him, step out, step out, step out. Someone else in the audience chimes in, why? This is an open courtroom. Step out, they scream. Any questions, any and all questions will be answered in the hallway. Someone else shouts, the press lawyer has a question. Court officer says, this is not an open forum. We will answer all questions in the hallway, so please step out. This is a Supreme Court courtroom, so step out. Someone else shouts back at him, this is an open courtroom. It is open to the people. It's open to the public. You can't throw us out. Our lawyer has a question, someone else shouts. This is a public forum. Why do we need to step out? Officer springs back at him. Step out, please, step out. Where do you want us to go? We have a lawyer right here. Someone else shouts, I am the lawyer. I am the lawyer. Officer doesn't care. Keep going, please. Keep going. I want to answer all questions out in the hallway. I will answer everything in the hallway, but right now, everyone step out. Someone else shouts, we're guests. We're guests here. Why do we have to leave? Step out, everybody. Step out in the hallway. Let's go. Let's go. Come on. Someone else shouts, will this be on the record so that we can at least read it afterwards? Step out, please. Step out. Please, step out. Step out. Now, the court reporter is just stopping for a minute, says the courtroom is cleared of the people in the audience by the court officers at this time. The press also got thrown out on their butts like a bag of dirt. Court says, all right, now that the press is gone and we have this sole court reporter writing the record down, all right, says the judge, now let the record reflect that it's now 5 after 4. And let the record also reflect that the court officers had great difficulty clearing the courtroom because the courtroom is made up primarily of the press. And I can appreciate that the press wants to be present for every part of these proceedings. Therefore, this record is not sealed. And the press will have access to this record after he threw them out. So they can't report on anything other than what's in this written document. Isn't that nice? Now, the fact that I had to clear the courtroom like a little dictator who is silencing everything, he's not even posting the full court record on the docket, emails that he's exchanging and other materials that are critical to this case have never seen the light of day. So the fact that I had to clear the courtroom and that the court officers, including the captain, had great difficulty clearing the courtroom and that there was argument back and forth between the press, like they didn't obey, even though they did, and including counsel for the press, goes to why I had to clear the courtroom in the first place. It's like he's suffering a little insurrection there. And he looks at Costello and he says, and that is, sir, your conduct is contemptuous right now. And I'm putting you on notice that your conduct is contemptuous. And if you try to stare me down one more time, I will remove you from the stand. And I will strike his entire testimony. Do you understand me? Mr. Beauvais, for Trump's defense, says, yes, Judge, I understand. Looking at Costello, the judge says, now you listen to the question, you answer the question. Costello says, can I say something, please? No, this is not a conversation. Okay, all right. Now, can we bring the press back in, please? The court officer says, ready, Your Honor? Yes, please. And the press is entering the courtroom. Now, the people in the audience return to the courtroom. Court officer says, same seat, folks. Same seat, folks. Same seat. They're all seated now. Let the jury, please, says the court. Jury entering, says the officer. All rise. Jury enters. Costello says, you don't want me to rise? He says, no, you don't rise. You may be seated. Clerk says, the case on trial is continued. All jurors are present and properly seated. The court turns to the defense. Mr. Bove. Thank you, Judge. They pick back up cross-examination. Continued cross. May I inquire? He says to the court, yes. And they jump back into the testimony. So the judge throws out the press because he is trying to, of course, craft a narrative and doesn't want the press to see what's happening there. So that was yesterday. Alan Dershowitz was inside the courtroom. Let's listen to his reaction to what happened before we jump into today's testimony. Here was this exchange.
Seen a spectacle like that. The judge absolutely imploded. He absolutely blew up when Costello dared to raise an eyebrow about some of his rulings. I raised my eyebrows. My eyes rolled. I stared him down. I've never heard so many erroneous rulings in such a brief period of time. And then you know, Cohen passed right by me. He brushed his leg next to mine. Gross. I was so close to him. Again, I've rarely seen so many lies. He swears that he would not have accepted a pardon. He wouldn't have accepted a pardon. He had already told Costello he would do anything to avoid going to prison. Lie, cheat, steal, do anything, but he wouldn't have accepted a pardon from Donald Trump. That was such
total lies, of course. He was there. Cohen was there. Their legs brushed by each other. Alan Dershowitz and others in the courtroom trying to make sense of the judge's little temper tantrum. But Trump came out. He spoke before today's testimony. And the follow-up to that, because we're now going to have cross-examination of Robert Costello by the government. This clip comes from our friend Benny Johnson over there. You know where to follow him. And Trump came out to speak. Let's listen to what he said.
So the news on inflation is rampant. It really is rampant. It's moving at a level like people have not seen it. We started with energy, and now it's taking on a life of its own. It's very sad. We'll get it fixed. I'd like to be on campaigning right now, but again, I'm going to be in almost 5 weeks in court. They have no case, and there's no crime. Every single legal expert, I can say this again and again, and every time they come out, maybe at some point they'll come out and say, oh, we found something. But every single legal expert, Andy Ricardo, Jonathan Turley, Mark Levin, every one of them, Greg Jarrett, he's a great talent. He's a very, actually very brilliant guy, and they're not necessarily on my side historically over the years. But they're very talented people. They're legal scholars, highly respected. Every single person is saying there's no crime. There's no crime.
That's right. We're all saying that. We don't know what the potential crime could be. Is it pick a crime, any crime? We're going to get to jury instructions in our second segment and see what we're able to tease out of there. But let's jump into the trial. Now that we have our bearings straight, we see that Trump was there. Did you see that tie? Woo, man, looking good. Solid gold, baby. Solid gold. Looking sharp, Mr. President. All right, so we jump in to the testimony, courtesy of our friend Inner City Press. You know where to follow him, at Inner City Press. He's got stuff all over the place. Venmo, PayPal, Amazon. Check it out. Matthew Russell Lee on Amazon. Buy a book and support his work. Now, we're also reposting this if you're following along at home while we're live. We're inside the courtroom. Trump is here, blue tie. Tie of gold. Now,
why are you stopping, dude?
In the row behind them. There's one Democratic congressperson back in the overflow. We're waiting for the court to get in session. Boom! The door bursts open. All rise. We stand up. Judge comes in, please be seated. The clerk of the court announces, this is the time set for the people of the state of New York versus Donald J. Trump. Parties announced. Good morning, good morning. Judge kicks the day off. Says, all right, we have a witness on the stand.
Sorry, guys,
today.
I have not been watching.
I did get the submissions about the jury charge, the jury instructions. What are the rules the jury is going to review? It's helpful, and so I'll be reviewing those. And let's get the witness, please.
Just trying to make it home safe.
Costello comes back in. We picked up with him from yesterday's testimony. Mr. Costello, remind you under oath. Yes, sir. Now, before the jury comes in, someone asked the judge if he'll poll the jurors about their availability next Wednesday, the day after the closing arguments, to avoid more breaks. Says I will. So, government prosecutor is up. Her name's Susan Hoffinger. We know who she is. She starts the day. We're on cross-examination. Robert Costello is the Trump defense witness. He's up.
I've been listening
Michael
to
Cohen's
this.
former
I haven't
lawyer.
been paying attention.
Question. Mr. Costello, I want to show you people's 512 Q example.
Actually, it's not distracted driving. I've been trying to pay attention to where I'm at.
This email, Michael Cohen wrote to you.
It's the opposite
He said,
of distracted
stop
driving.
contacting him. Do you see that? Yeah. And you see the header is about a count. Costello says, well, I think that was the billing department. Probably. And did Rudy Giuliani go to your wedding? Yeah, he did. So they're trying to draw a connection. Remember, Costello was saying that Cohen asked him to go pursue a connection to Rudy. Costello said Cohen told him. Cohen says Costello put pressure on Cohen, that Rudy was using Costello as the liaison to get Trump's pressure onto Cohen, to keep him quiet. So, oh, Rudy went to your wedding. Oh, so you guys are friends. Maybe you are part of this conspiracy. And Robert, Mr. Costello, isn't it also true that you wrote to Jeffrey Citrone? Didn't you say to him that the reason for the Cohen to hire me would be my connection to Giuliani? Did you say that? So it sounds like we have an email from Robert Costello, the lawyer. Jeffrey Citrone is his business partner or law partner at the time. And they were exchanging emails. He says, well, I think Cohen should hire me because I've got a good connection to Giuliani. We've got a good relationship with him. That'll get us to the White House. That'll be good. Did you say that? Costello says, yeah, correct. I said that. But there are surrounding circumstances that I'd be delighted to explain to you. Government says, that's all right. No thanks. We don't need your explanation. Government says, well, let me read another email to you there, Robert. You said in this email, you recognize it? Yeah. You said we must reverse the Avenatti effect from Bob. You wrote this, right? He says, yeah, I did, but that's because Michael Cohen was complaining incessantly. Wouldn't shut up. Okay, quiet. Now, as you said yesterday, Robert, you said the email speaks for itself, so I don't need your explanation. He said, well, sometimes it does. Sometimes you need an explanation. Okay. But you wrote in an email to your business partner, you wrote that you'd been played. Did you remember that? Well, I'd like to explain it. No. You felt you were played because you hadn't been paid, right? Well, do you want me to explain it? No, I don't. You thought Michael Cohen was also playing President Trump, didn't you, Robert? No, I don't think that's correct at all. Well, I want to show you People's 512H exhibit. This is your email to your partner, Citrone. Remember this? And you forwarded Mr. Cohen's text messages, and you said, he is slow playing us. You wrote that, didn't you? He is playing with the most powerful man on the planet. Did you write that? That speaks for itself, doesn't it? Yeah, it does, says Costello again. Now, on May 15th, didn't you go to Congress about Michael Cohen? I was requested to testify. We covered that here. Excellent testimony. And when you went to testify to Congress, you'd agree that it was your attempt to intimidate Michael Cohen, wasn't it? Intimidate Michael Cohen? That's ridiculous. No further questions. Government walks away. And you can see what she was trying to do here is say, oh, okay, you said that to your business partner that Cohen's playing around with the most powerful man in the world. And so there is pressure coming from you. Like, you're going to run this up the flagpole, and Trump will be now bringing the hammer down on Michael Cohen. So no further questions from the government. We get a redirect from Emil Beauvais. Trump's defense attorney comes out. He says, hello again, Mr. Costello. He says, when Michael Cohen said that you never represented him, that was false. He says, that was false. He says, thank you. I want to look at this exhibit that the government prosecutor Hoffinger put in yesterday. You remember this? Yeah. This is an email to your son? Yeah. You quote Michael Cohen back from April 2018. Do you remember that? Yeah. You said, Michael Cohen said, it will be an honor to have you on the team. Did Michael Cohen say that? He says, yeah, that's what he said. And then Cohen called you after that? Yeah. And you talked for 30 minutes? Yeah. Now, what did you mean when you wrote about being played, as the government brought up? He says, well, Jeff Cintron, my business partner, gave him the retainer agreement. Cohen put it in his briefcase and always evaded our questions about it. He claimed he was paying MWE, but he wasn't. So Cohen's stringing him along. They're doing all this legal work. I'll get it back to you. I'll get it back to you soon. Now, Mr. Costello, you wrote privileged and confidential in this document. You see that? Yes, I did. You also say attorney-client privilege, right? Privileged and confidential for attorney-client. Now, when you sent this to Michael Cohen, did Cohen tell you, no, you're not my lawyer? Did he tell you that? No.
I'm going to be live later on the
so
main.
He impliedly accepted it.
I'm going to...
Now, Cohen couldn't be
Hey,
surprised
Jacob.
that you communicated with Rudy.
I'm just getting caught up on
Why would he be surprised?
on this.
No, of course not. He would not be surprised because...
I was working earlier. Good to see you, buddy. So we're at 119 minutes, or hour, 19 minutes left. All right, I'll be live later on my main channel to cover some of this. This is awesome stuff. Good to see you, JC. As well as you, Jacob, of course. There's been a lot of change in my schedule and stuff like that, so that's why I haven't been broadcasting when I normally do. But everybody, good to see you. I'll see you later. Thanks for hanging with me. Love you guys all. Thanks for being with me. Peace.